The Nintendo Switch took everyone by surprise in 2017 when it released and started flying off the shelves. The Wii U had become almost a joke in the industry due to its poor naming, game selection, loading times, and more, even if the console actually had a good idea behind it. Nintendo then took the idea of the Wii U and improved on it, creating a new system that could be taken with you wherever you go, or also be able to connect to the TV seamlessly to play right at home. Now, several years later, Nintendo has finally released the first look at the Nintendo Switch 2. A lot of people seem to think it looks mostly the same, but there is actually a bit to talk about here. The video today will be covering the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal and an overall look at the console, but I will mostly be focusing on what games we may see within the first year of the system's launch. If you enjoy this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to see more, and now let's go over the Nintendo Switch 2 itself. Now at first glance, the Nintendo Switch 2 looks pretty much the same. Obviously it'll be an improvement on the hardware and be able to play more intense games, but there are other things to talk about here. Right away they show the different ports of the new Nintendo Switch, which like the Switch has a USB-C port at the bottom, a headphone jack, a cartridge slot, but this time also has a USB-C port at the top of the console too. The old Nintendo Switch was also able to be set up on a surface due to a stand on the back of the console on one side, but this time around the stand is more evenly spread across and it looks like it won't pop out or snap off as easily as it did. The stand also has more flexibility this time around, allowing for you to more easily set up the system how you want to play it. The Joy-Cons for the system seem to be a little larger this time around and seem to be a sleek black color, with the popular colors of the Switch Joy-Cons being pushed to the sides. The Joy-Cons also, instead of sliding on like before, seem to be able to attach to a magnetic piece on the sides of the Nintendo Switch 2. We will have to see when the console releases, but I can already see concerns of that piece breaking off as it doesn't look super secure in the video. It also appears that you could use the Joy-Cons like a computer mouse, which we will have to see what use that could be for. The Nintendo Switch 2 will also be backwards compatible, so if you were worried about not being able to play your old Switch games, you'll be able to jump right back into them. Nintendo also confirmed that the Nintendo Switch Online service will carry over to the Switch 2, so it will most likely feel pretty similar to what we have already been dealing with. Now of course you could talk hardware all day, but I think most people are curious about what games we may see on the console. There are a lot of possibilities from first-party titles to third-party titles, and I'll go over quite a few I'd like to see or think we will hear about in the first 12 months of the console's life. Starting with the most obvious one, as it was also in the reveal trailer for the Nintendo Switch 2, we have a brand new Mario Kart game coming. I am assuming this is officially Mario Kart 9 and doesn't have some other name attached to it at the moment. We last saw an official mainline Mario Kart with Mario Kart 8 in 2014, over a decade ago. Yes, we saw a re-release with more content for the Switch in 2017, but this is an entirely new game after so many years. Right away in the footage, we see what looks like 24 starting spots for karts. If you aren't aware, in Mario Kart 8 we had 12 player races, so this looks like it is doubling how many players can be racing at one time. The second thing we may notice is Mario's kart has what almost looks like a fuel tank on the side. Every Mario Kart game has a sort of gimmick, like Double Dash having 2 characters per kart, or gliding and underwater driving for Mario Kart 7, or of course anti-gravity for Mario Kart 8. This has people wondering what the gimmick for 9 will be, and this fuel tank could be the first idea on where the game is heading. Lastly, it's kind of hard to see, but in this final shot we see what looks like a Yoshi restaurant on the side and a glowing item next to the building. Obviously in Mario Kart you can pick up boxes to get different power-ups, but I'm not sure if this is an item block and may also be related to a new gimmick. It seems that we will be getting a new Nintendo Direct in April, so I'm assuming we will get a bigger deep dive into the new Mario Kart and have some of these questions answered at that time. Now what other games may we see in the launch window of Nintendo Switch 2? Well, we have been waiting a long time and it seems like 2025 is finally the year that Metroid Prime 4 releases. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond has had some troubled development and was initially revealed in 2017. Metroid has seen a resurgence in the past few years, with Metroid Dread becoming the fastest selling game in series history and even getting several Game of the Year nominations. We also saw Metroid Prime HD release and would not be surprised to see 2 and 3 get re-releases before the new game comes out. We haven't seen a lot from Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, but the gameplay we have seen looks very familiar to Metroid Prime fans, but also looks like there will be several environments to explore. The end of the trailer shows Silex, who is hunting Samus down, and also shows glimpses of a grassy or forest type world that we will be exploring. Metroid Prime 4 has potential to make a huge splash, and I personally think this could be one of the flagship titles they try to push with the Nintendo Switch launch. Another game I think is an easy lock for the Nintendo Switch 2 window is Pokemon Legends Z-A. Pokemon Legends Arceus released in 2022 and was a gigantic success, seeing us go back in time and be given a more open world Pokemon game. You could capture Pokemon without entering battle, but could also be attacked yourself, allowing for a much different feeling type of game. We don't know much about Pokemon Legends Z through A at all, but instead of the far past, it seems like we will be in a more modern take of the Kalos region. It seems like the entire game will take place inside of Luminos City, with the trailer showing Pokemon throughout the city interacting in a more natural way. I am curious how they create enough content in the city without it feeling too similar or getting stale quickly, but I think the city is big enough to play with and is a very unique idea to work with for Pokemon. Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise of all time, so pushing this new release in the Nintendo Switch 2 launch window just feels obvious, and I think we will see more about the game in the Nintendo Direct in April. The next game we will be talking about is Professor Layton in the New World of Steam. We haven't seen a new Professor Layton game since 2017, so if you aren't aware of what it is, Professor Layton is a puzzle adventure series where to move forward with the story you must solve puzzles such as sliding blocks, mazes, or even math problems. Professor Layton in the New World of Steam takes place in an American town called Steam Bison. In the recent trailer we got showed us a new antagonist, a ghostly cowboy named Gunman King Joe. We don't know a ton about the game, besides knowing it supposedly has the most puzzles in the series' history, and we saw a few of them in the new trailer, like helping a mouse find a piece of the cheese, or helping restore a circuit board for a repair shop. I also expect to see more about this game in the April Nintendo Direct, and with no release date given yet, I expect it to be pretty close to the Nintendo Switch 2 launch date. Now of course, I think a game everyone wants to see announced or talked about soon would be a new Super Smash Bros. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate saw its 89th and final character added in 2021 being Sora from Kingdom Hearts. So what is next for the series? Do we see them try and get every character back again and hit 100 or more playable fighters? Or do we see them scale it back a bit and reset the series in a way? Sakurai has said since Brawl that he didn't want to keep working on the Super Smash Bros. Series, but would he return yet again for a new entry? I could see Sakurai being hands-off and more just overseeing the project, while maybe they outsource it completely to Bandai Namco, who helped with Super Smash Bros. For 3DS and Wii U, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. They have a lot of experience working on the series now, and I think it would be the right ones to kind of take control of it. Having roster cuts would be unfortunate for those that want to play their favorites again, but I'm not sure if they could pull off another Ultimate situation, as nice as that would be to see. I could see them scaling back and reworking combat a bit, along with characters that haven't seen changes or updates in a long time, such as Mario himself. Either way, this seems like a turning point for the series going forward, and either path they take will set expectations for even more future entries. I'll probably go more in depth on what I would like to see from a new Super Smash Bros. Game in a future video, so keep an eye out for that, as there is a lot to talk about. It has been 4 years since we've seen Sora enter the fight now, and I think that is more than enough time to start teasing or even revealing the next entry in the series. Super Smash Bros. Is massively successful for a Nintendo, and I just can't see them waiting on getting a new game out there for too long. In the last few years, we saw new Mario titles such as Mario and Luigi Brothership, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Remake, Princess Peach Showtime, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, Super Mario RPG Remake, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and even more, but we haven't seen a full original 3D Mario game since Super Mario Odyssey back in 2017. Obviously, Mario is Nintendo's flagship franchise and will have new entries, but we had Super Mario Odyssey on the Switch, Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, Super Mario Galaxy on the Wii, so that leaves the question on what the big 3D Mario title will be for the Nintendo Switch 2. Will we get a sequel to Odyssey or an entirely new idea brought to life? I personally couldn't put Odyssey down on release and was one of the few Mario games I've fully completed in a while, so I would love to see how they improve on that idea. But also, as we saw with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, there is a lot of freedom and creativity you can have with the Mario RP, so creating an entirely new idea may be the route to go here. Either way, they decide to go, I think we will see one pretty early into the life of the new Nintendo Switch, and I know personally I will be picking it up immediately. Now of course, another game I expect is one that we can't really predict exactly. You see, the Wii had Wii Sports, the Wii U had Nintendo Land, and the Nintendo Switch had 1-2 Switch. So what sort of gimmick game could the Nintendo Switch 2 have? I don't expect another sequel to 1-2 Switch after how notoriously bad the sequel was, but I do expect some kind of gimmick game that will use all the new features of the Nintendo Switch 2. There's just no telling what this game could be, but I guess time will tell. Now the next game we will talk about technically just got a re-release with Donkey Kong Country Returns, but we haven't had a brand new entry since 2014's Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. We saw in the new Mario Kart trailer that Donkey Kong got a redesign to look more like his movie self or modern self, so I think they could be looking to push him further as a character. It has been over a decade since our last 2D entry in the series, but even longer since we have seen a 3D entry, and would love to see them try and tackle the idea once again. Either way, I do think we see a new Donkey Kong game finally after so long, and after his popularity in the Mario movie, I think it is only a matter of time before we see him star in an adventure of his own again. I do think there is one more game that may be more of a surprise release they may be aiming for. Hear me out though. We recently had new entries for Zelda, Kirby, Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, Xenoblade, Pikmin, and of course others, so what does that leave us with? It will probably be a while before we see new entries in those series now, unless we see ports of them to the new console. So I think we could see a surprise here, like a new Kid Icarus game or finally an actual new Star Fox game. They could pull off a few other games, but I think being done right, either Kid Icarus or Star Fox could actually be a surprise hit for the start of the console, and maybe bringing both series in the spotlight again as they have been sidelined for so long. It may not be the most likely thing to happen, but with the start of a new generation for Nintendo and gamers wanting to find out what to play on the new console, it could be a perfect time to try and reintroduce either of them. Now, while most of those are first-party games, we do have third-party support that will happen for the console too, and I think a bunch of big games that the Switch currently missed out on could jump to the new console rather quickly. I'll try to make talking about some of these pretty short to get through them, but the first game I think we see is Elden Ring. Elden Ring was not on the original Nintendo Switch, probably due to how intense the game is to run, but made waves collecting multiple Game of the Year awards. Using an Elden Ring announcement to show off how powerful the new Nintendo Switch is could be a great way to bring gamers on board, and who wouldn't want to play Elden Ring easily on the go too. Another third-party game I expect to see is Resident Evil 4. The original Resident Evil 4 back in 2005 was released first for the Nintendo GameCube, but completely skipped the original Switch with the remake. I expect the remake to make its way to the Nintendo Switch 2 very early on in its life cycle. I also expect to see Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 finally release on the Nintendo Switch 2 after skipping the original Switch. Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 have been massive successes in the fighting game scene, and both still have healthy fan bases that would probably pick up the game again on Nintendo Switch 2, or even breathe more life into both games with new fans who just want to play them on the go. The last major third-party game, or games, I think we will see pretty early on are both Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. Final Fantasy, beyond being an extremely popular series, has had ties to Nintendo consoles, and the new console should be strong enough to handle both of them. Right now, the Final Fantasy VII remakes are only on PlayStation and PC, but have been said there is nothing locking the games only to PlayStation. So seeing them make a jump at the start of a new Nintendo console lifecycle would be huge. Plus, both Cloud and Sephiroth are in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The Nintendo Switch 2 may not seem like a major change at first, but there is a surprisingly bit there that could be used in new ways, along with a new powerful console being able to play games that currently skipped out on the original Switch. I'm personally looking forward to the new system, and I'm excited to see what else they show off about it, and what games they will start talking about at the Nintendo Direct in April. What games do you hope to see make their way to Nintendo Switch 2? Do you have any predictions yourself? Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on the new console are, and if you are excited or not. And as always, thank you for watching this video.